Welcome, first grade teachers, to the fifth 6 weeks, and let's get rolling on the curriculum preview. So, what are our expectations? For the fifth 6 weeks, we'd really like for the kids to be at a text level H. Prefer that they be at an I, but we really want them strong and really having good skills. If they're at a G, we really need to be looking at spending most every day with them in instructional levels. You know the minutes that we have for them. We want to read all Unit 1 sight words fluently in isolation. I want, there'll be a specific number, but I really want those secure. This 6 weeks, our first graders are going to make emphasis to identify character actions and support responses with evidence from the text and pictures, and we wanting them reading with comprehension and fluency at level H. So, in first grade, our expectations is that they would have weekly reading responses as they independently read. So we've given you some things in the curriculum. Your tic-tac-toe is a great way for you to get responses. Also, there is a rubric in your assessment part of your Norman Jackson resources that will help children to understand how you're grading those responses, and then you can get a grade for their responses. If you've not done the rubric for independent reading, getting kids in those Just Right books and having them reading independently, the rubric for independent reading is a great thing to really helping them to monitor where they are. And on the PDSA side of where they are in reading, how are you growing as a reader is a great thing to do each 6 weeks with them about their reading behaviors. And remember that there's no substitution for kids reading. They need to be reading in their independent reading level with Just Right books and practicing. At least they need to be reading 60 minutes a day. That means in their independent reading level with you at that guided reading table, they need for them to be able to move where we need them to move. That's as much, they need that much reading every day. So I ask you the question, who's doing the reading in your classroom? Here is the continuum for level H. Remember that you go to the tab and you can go to these pages right here, and it really explains the behaviors that you notice in a level H. Here's the descriptors for a text in level G and level H, and then what are the characteristics of students when they are in this level. But then your continuum also gives you a little bit more in depth of the 3 kinds of thinking and then the word work that you would do at each level as well. So the continuum is a great resource. So our word study is, once again, they have 10 to 12 vocabulary words. Then they're going to alphabetize a series of words, the first or second letter, using a dictionary. And then we are looking at letter sound patterns to spell consonant, vowel, silent E words. And then those high frequency words, really knowing them and using them in across all contents. So let's take a look at your phonics, because it's so very important that we really take a look at that. They are going to be looking at vowel digraphs, so they're securing the OW, OU, and then AY, AI, AW, AU, EW, OA, IE, IE is in pie, and then IGH. And then looking at syllabication patterns to code words, open syllables like baby, like a consonant vowel. They're expected to decode familiar 2-syllable words with open syllables. So that gives you some examples there. And then we want them to be able to master the R-controlled vowel sounds like ER, IR, UR, AR, or OR. And then they need to at least be at 80 words on those 100 high frequency words. So let's take a look at your word work. So vowel digraphs. You see that I've kind of broken it down for you, like how I might do it, like I would split this up. You also can use your reading A to Z. In your Just in Time, I've kind of showed you how to use it. In reading A to Z, there's decodable books. Also, I would use your treasures here to look for the phonics lessons, the stories that go along with these. So really having kids practice each week with these different kinds of vowel sounds. Also, looking down here, I'm showing you some other different ways to, like this is this particular standard, some lesson plans that go along to help you with that standard. R controlled vowel sounds. Once again, I went into reading A to Z, got you a decodable book with a lesson plan and showing you how to do that word work. Making sure that you choose vocabulary words that really have an impact in practicing those words is very important. So in your word study for English word study, you're going to be doing homophones, and we have chosen to choose like the numbers that are really confusing: 1 to 1, 4 and 4, 2 and 2, 8, 8, sit and set, those type of words for you to look at. And then you'll see that as you look at your English word study, it shows you exactly that you're going to be looking at that sneaky E pattern with kids, and they're really securing that, and just follow that pacing guide there. Academic vocabulary, using academic vocabulary with them, help them familiarize with what these words mean, and how they use to help them understand their standards. So the lead standard is they're going to be doing figure 19D, making inferences about the reason characters' actions, about reasons for characters' actions based on the text evidence. And then, of course, there's fluency. We want them including their phrasing. And then figure 19A, they want them to establish purposes for reading the selected text. And then that level, that independent reading, there it is again. In genres, we want them to connect the meaning of a well-known fable to a personal experience, so that is connecting to themselves. And then literary poetry, we want them reading a poem written about the same topic. And then with culture and history, we want them to restate the main idea heard or read. In fiction, we want them describing the plot, being able to retell a story, beginning, middle, and end, and then describing characters in a story and the reason for their actions and their feelings. So those are some of the main ones. So let's take a look at some focus lessons. If you're looking at your overview, it's going to show you that you might want to use the refer to everything says something poster about how words work together, and then it shows you that we are looking how writers use conventions to make their message clearer this whole 6 weeks. So you're going to be playing around with text by covering the punctuation, trying different marks, or trying the punctuation in different parts of the sentences. And then we give you some books to use to do that. You want to be using your 3 kinds of thinking, and using that, and using your prompting guide. This one at level 2 is great with the 3 kinds of thinking. Making inferences, you want to use book 4. Book 4 of the Comprehension Toolkit, Inferring and Visualizing Lessons 12 through 15. If you've already done those, then I would suggest you rinse and repeat with different types of genre. Use the guide lessons. Also, a great way for you to be able to get beginning, middle, and end is to be using your Treasure in My Hand. They're already familiar with that with reading. Then for the skill of describing characters in a story, I went to Reading A to Z and got a comprehension skills pack, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the just in time. So these are some of the comprehension tool packs that I got that has lessons, and it shows you about how to analyze the character, gives you a passage to use as a model lesson, gives you an organizer, and then it also gives you a passage for the kids to practice in their independent reading time. So check that out. Theme and genre, I love this, having students read a story on their just right level and make connections to self. This is one that I went out and I think this is a really cute one about text to self. You could do an anchor chart on what that means. The Little Red Hen is a great one in Unit 2 of Treasures to do a text to self about the things. Raz plus Projectables, The Ant and the Grasshopper is a great one, and then you have a lesson plan. If you'll look at the just in time, you'll see how to get that. Here's some other great things from Reading A to Z. On this one, on expecting to restate the main idea heard or read, you have in Treasures Unit 2, Animals, Moms, and Dads, and then in Unit 4, Cesar Chavez, for you to do that. Then in Reading A to Z, I went out and I searched by standard, and this is a project book that matches this standard with main idea, with helping kids to really understand main idea. Then I love this poetry. They're expected to read and compare poems written about the same topic. So these 2 books by Douglas Foran are just amazing because the kids could explore them, putting them underneath the document camera, seeing how they're all about the same thing. So comparing poetry in that way. Let's take a look at writing. We want them at a stage 5 or higher and assessing using the 12-stage rubric. We really want them to use simple text features to organize and extend their ideas. So the skills need to be at a strong 5, really looking at ideas and development of ideas and conventions. Then you can look at that. Have two first draft personal narratives, two first draft informational about some of the content. I was visited a classroom the other day, and they were writing about something that they learned about in history, which is or social studies, which is so important. It's just such a great extension. So here, the writing process, here we are. They're expected to use simple organizer to sketch pictures or write simple notes to plan the order of events. First graders should be writing. You should be having some great beginning stories. They are expected to notice effective techniques in mentor texts and use them as models. So reading lots of mentor text to them, showing them how other authors do it. We want them to use prepositional phrases or studying about prepositional phrases to extend an idea, but when it's appropriate. And then always, when they're editing up, every time they write, we want them to routinely proofread for capitalization and punctuation marks in simple sentences. They are writing about what they are learning in their science and social studies. We're looking at prepositions and then recognizing what goes at the end of a sentence. So prepositional phrases, this is a great way to do grammar, is to use mentor text. Bears in the Night is full of prepositional phrases, or Rosie's Walk, that's a very familiar one, or using the song Over the River and Through the Woods, having the kids act that out about why an author uses a prepositional phrase. So you'll see how you show sentences from the text and have students notice how the author used the prepositional phrase. And then put the kids together in pairs, have them write sentences with prepositional phrase. So as you go about that in your focus lesson, then you would say to them, today I want you to see within your story, is there a place for a prepositional phrase? You don't want to just put them there. Does it add something to does it give a clear idea or details to your story? Treasure in My Hand, you need to look at that, just looking at independently, what are they missing on this one. And I love how in the overview it uses Candyland to talk about how relating it to boundaries of sentences, that every sentence starts with a capital letter and that punctuation ends the sentence. So look at the overview for that. Using stop routine to really teach capitalization and punctuation. So by the end of first grade, we really want them we want them to form letters correctly. We want spaces between words. Use lowercase letters except for the capitalization of the first word of a sentence. Capitalize I. Express ideas in complete sentences. Replace overused connecting words. Use capitalization and punctuation for simple sentences. And then spell those K1 sight words in a snap every time. So share student samples to identify which parts of the story are included. Discuss how the story could be revised and improved by adding any missing parts. Model these revisions. So talking about showing kids how beginning, middle, and end happens. Make sure that you are individually conversing with them every day and do the daily reflection time. Make sure that they are doing all those skills that we talked about and having them go back in the writing and looking for what they are doing. Once again, use your digital learning specialists. They're amazing and they have great things for you to do in your classroom. So use them. I hope this will be a great 6 weeks. We're going to end strong. We have research next 6 weeks. So let us know how we can help you. Make sure you watch the Just in Time to really get all the great stuff out of reading A to Z.